Well, as the Bitcoin conference finally wraps up, today is the last day, day number 3. What big announcements are we going to get? We got big heavy hitters hitting the stage there at the Nakamoto stage at the Venetian here in Las Vegas. We do have some updates from the conference to share with you from yesterday. Altcoin Daily hosted the Trump brothers. What do they have to say? Also, we had Hester Peirce, the SEC commissioner, talking about meme coins. What did she say? We got some XRP news to share with you. Why are the markets dumping? And who in the hell did Trump summon to his quarters at the White House? Why are the markets reacting negatively to that news? We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content. We take old, boring, stale information, repackage it all up in a fun, sexy way, and well, not a best day for Bitcoin. A little pullback, under 107,000. What is going on with the charts? We'll get into that briefly. And well, it's almost over. The last day. And what are you most thankful for?
Thankful for you, Rob.
Really? Wow.
I'm setting a goal.
What are you setting?
So we're going to have a special guest in studio.
Okay.
And so I'm setting this open the club goal. You want to see that special guest get his dance moves on?
Oh,
Maybe a good idea, you know?
Is it an inflated price for?
No, I was going to keep it at 5 super chats at 20 unless you want me to adjust it up. I was going to do 5 at 50, but that's a little too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah. And you can't really go anywhere in between, so we can do 10 at 20.
Nah, we'll do 5 at
5. We'll do 5. Okay, perfect. Yeah, when this person comes to the studio and figures out what the hell's going on, that we pimped him out. Super chat. All jokes aside, we do have an announcement, Rob. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way so we don't forget. A lot of people have been reaching out about our meetup. You know, the cigar lounge idea, if you want to give them the details, Rob.
At Resort World at 8 Cigar Lounge that's name 8, not 8 o'clock. The place is called 8 Cigar Lounge at Resort World, 5:30 p.m. Today. Sorry, it was last minute. Had difficulties with the scheduling between the 8 Cigar Lounge and also they had some private events. So anyways, 5:30. Come check us out. Come hang out with us. If you're in Las Vegas, we'd love to hang out with you. So come check us out there. So we'll also put that on Twitter as well.
Putting in Discord right now.
Discord and Twitter. So 5:30. Come hang out with Sin City Crypto. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah. We're thinking either the first cigars on us or the first drinks on us. We don't know yet, depending on what's more expensive. Because if you know anything about this company, I'm the cheap one here. So, yeah. Okay, let's start with this. Bitcoin conference, day number 3, the final day. Which, by the way, if you're a if you're a conference goer this year, there's a very limited time where you can get a free general admission ticket for next year because they just announced Bitcoin conference is coming back to Las Vegas. You know, I heard a couple people, we have a lot of people that are in studio. I heard a couple of them mention how organized and really great the conference has been this year. You know what I'd say? I was like, it's because Vegas, baby, it's what we do. You know, it's like some states do certain things well, and we do conferences well, among other things that we're not going to get into. But today, the much anticipated, I believe it's a keynote. Maybe it's a fireside. I don't know, but Ross Ulbricht will be speaking, addressing the crowd for the first time since gaining his freedom. To what he quoted, "It feels like I am coming home." And so I think it's at 5:05 local time. Yeah, Rob, your thoughts on this? You excited to see this?
Yeah, I'm just curious kind of what his message is going to be. He hasn't had the limelight yet or had any public speaking. So will he come out, perhaps talk more about Bitcoin and crypto, or will he share more insights on his own personal stories and, you know, kind of the path that led him to where he, you know, got into prison, got convicted, got pardoned. So I'm just curious to see what we get, because I genuinely don't have any idea. Maybe he'll hold some resentment. He doesn't seem like the person that would.
No, I don't think so.
No, but I mean, you never know. So we'll be And if he has some resentment, like by all means, like because the fact that he was in prison for as long as he was, how many?
12 years.
12 years, and so
For literally just creating
launching a website that let people buy and sell stuff. Basically, he just did the Craigslist with Bitcoin, and so imagine selling something. I mean, that's what it was, right? And well, here's the thing. You why you laugh?
I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's true what you're saying.
He basically created the Craigslist where you pay with Bitcoin. Now, we always talk about the fact that you can't hold people's platforms as the as the tool for fraud.
You can't hold them accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like Toyota makes cars. If someone decides to take that car and crash it into a group of people, then Toyota is not at fault.
Yeah, and he made a website, let people buy and sell stuff with Bitcoin, and then you want to sell prostitutes up there, then and
I heard that's where Michael Saylor sold his kidney to buy his first Bitcoin.
No,
in exchange for a Bitcoin.
It was not. No,
yeah,
no, unfortunately.
Please don't sue me for.
But yeah, I'm curious. That's the one because like when Saylor speaks, you know what you're gonna get out of there, right?
No, never.
You know exactly what.
I'm always like, what is he gonna say?
He's gonna talk about going all in on.
He's gonna talk about Ethereum. He's gonna talk about SHIB. These questions always come to mind. Just kidding. So you know what I noticed? What is this community ranking thing? You see this on the chat?
No, what is that?
So I think during the stream they're giving people rankings depending on how active they are. Very interesting. So the leader right now looks like it's Janet's papa. I think that's how they do it as far as who's most active in the chat. But this might give us a easier way to do giveaways for people that are active. Also, we had 20 Nokia phones from RustyBot said, what is this Crow? I don't know, Crow. I mean, I know who Crypto Crow is. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, moving on to some other Bitcoin conference stuff. This might be hard to believe for some of you, including myself. Eric Trump just said his dad is a Bitcoin maxi. I don't buy it. Rob, you think he's having Bitcoin maxi style conversations behind the scenes and his whole launching a meme coin?
He listens to his kids, right?
I think he listens to Barron the most.
That's what I mean. Like he repeatedly went out and said that.
Come on, he's not a maxi.
I mean, is his kid a maxi?
I don't know. No,
you don't think so?
They literally.
I don't know. Did you see his keynote speech? It sounded pretty Bitcoin maxi to me. He basically said like, "Hey, look, we got debanked, and we were forced to use cryptocurrency, and we saw the inefficiencies of the banking system because of the attacks of his dad. On his dad after he had left the office and was no longer the president, and then started getting hit with felony charges and all those other things. He also got unbanked." And didn't really hear any headlines on that at the time, but at least that's what Eric Trump was saying when he was taking the stage. Is like, look, you know what? Or maybe it was Donald Trump Jr. I don't know. It was one of them. One of the Trump kids was talking about getting debanked. But my theory here is that if he's saying that his dad's a maxi, I think it's because he listens to his kids. He listens to Barron. He did his campaign trip, and it was heavily focused on podcasts. And that was a lot off of the fact that
nothing to do with him being a maxi. If he was a Bitcoin maxi, there's no chance in hell that he's launching a meme coin. Maxis don't do that. You think Michael Saylor's launching a meme coin?
Come on. Now, I think that a Bitcoin maxi does not mean that you can't have exposure to other.
That's literally what it means. A maximalist. Bitcoin is the best.
Maximalist with minimalist characteristics.
You make 0 sense. Anyways, I want to know what the chat thinks. Put a 1 if you think Donald Trump is a Bitcoin maxi. Put a 2 if you don't think he's a Bitcoin maxi. 1 for yes, 2 for no. I'm a 2. There's no chance. Rob seems to think by I don't know what reasoning, outside of things that make 0 sense to the topic of conversation here, that he is a maxi. I say no. 1 yes, 2 no. Drop it in the chat. And then shout out to the Altcoin Daily brothers. They hosted a panel at the conference with Eric and Donald Trump Jr. And let's take a listen to this conversation. Pretty interesting one.
So Michael's been a great friend of mine. And by the way, everybody needs to give him a round of applause.
We're talking about Saylor, by the way, Michael Saylor.
So Michael's been a great friend of mine. And by the way, everybody needs to give him a round of applause because he's great, truly one of the greatest. Bitcoin is so fortunate to have him. Crypto is so fortunate to have him. But he's truly one of the great spokespeople. But I've known Michael for 20 years, long before he even went down the Bitcoin route. We were friends from New York. But I was with him about a year ago. He goes, Eric, here's the play. You need to mortgage Mar-a-Lago right now. You need to take $2 billion out on Mar-a-Lago right now, and you need to go long Bitcoin. And I go, I don't know, if I mortgage my father's house right now, I'm not sure if he's, and by the way, he's a total Bitcoin maxi, but I'm not sure if he's going to be thrilled. But, you know, the amazing thing about Michael Saylor is he is truly one of the most pure, incredible people. He tells everybody, including Mike, right, including Matt, including our entire team, he goes, guys, do what I'm doing. Do what I'm doing. There's such incredible opportunity. I've never seen that in any other industry where you have the titan of the industry that's literally advocating for smart people to compete against them. And that's how much Michael Saylor loves this industry. And I think all of us owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude because what he's done for all of us is tremendous.
Mortgage Mar-a-Lago to buy Bitcoin. Imagine, Robin, they could have had 10 Mar-a-Lagos. Any commentary?
Mar-a-Lagos?
Yeah.
You got a pretty good deal on Mar-a-Lago. I forget what the price was, but I think it was like 10 or 20% of the value that it is currently at. And Donald Trump's a good businessman. Also, he is now a crypto and particularly Bitcoin maximalist.
Not a maximalist.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was actually a really good panel. If you want to watch the whole video, highly recommended. The Altcoin Daily Brothers did a really good job. So shout out to them. And then this is Commissioner Hester Peirce. Also, real quick, we had a $10 super chat from Crypto Plumber. Said, thanks for helping Sam. I'm assuming you're talking about none other than Sam Price, the lifer, and you're welcome. That's what we do. We help our friends. Anyways, all right, Hester Peirce talking about meme coins that obviously every Bitcoin maxi's done, right? Every Bitcoin maxi I've ever met, they've all launched meme coins. You know what I'm saying? And held back 80% of the supply. But anyways, let's take a listen.
You know, I think something like a meme coin, again, facts and circumstances always matter, but something like a meme coin is more like a collectible, right? And so does it even make sense to have the securities laws apply to something like that? I think most of us would probably say no. It's important for people who are buying those to understand they're not getting the protections of the securities laws. And so I think we will try to provide more of that kind of guidance. You know, again, fundamentally, this is about getting a clear set of rules. If Congress then decides we want to have the meme coin regulatory commission, I guess they could set that up. I don't know that we would think that's necessarily a great idea. But, you know, you can always fill a regulatory gap if you see it. I'm someone who looks at the world a little bit differently. And I say, look, if you're buying a meme coin and you're expecting to become a billionaire because you buy the meme coin, like, buyer beware. You know, you can become a billionaire one day and the next day you're back to zero again. So, you know, I think
millionaire one day, back to zero another day. I did want to check in on price action here. We did have some downward price action from really the entire space, Bitcoin included. And I guess Rob and I were both wrong. We said it was going to be 115K, and well, it looks like we're going 115 the other way, down the freeway. And so 106,651 is BTC. Now, there is a reason why the price has really drawn down, and we'll talk about what that reason is. But I did want to take a peek at some of the altcoins. So we do have some gainers on the day. Dexy, what is this? Why do I feel like I've seen this? I just don't know what the hell it is. So this is 1.16 billion, decentralized governance protocol that makes AI ownership transparent, collective, and accountable. Wow, sounds like it definitely needs a token for sure. So that one is a leading gainer on the day. You have SPX 6900, which if you listen to people like that one guy, what is it, Murad or whatever, he's saying that this thing is going to $1 trillion market cap, which I definitely don't agree. And then really it's pretty flat, right? Arbitrum up 3%, Walrus up 2.4%, Lido, Jasmy, Sonic, everything is pretty much flat. XRP, we do have some news to share about XRP on the show today. Speaking of on the show today, we just had a very special guest join us in studio. Now, the first time we ever met this gentleman was at a Bitcoin conference in 2022. Do you remember, Jeb?
I sure do.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, my friend. We're excited to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. My goodness, you guys have come far in 3 years.
I know. Look
Man,
at that.
when I met you, you guys were like 100 subs. Now you're about to pass 100,000.
We hope so.
That is
It's like,
so cool.
It's like we hit 70 and then we got into like quicksand and
Yeah.
we're trying to slowly get our way up there. But
There you go.
you know, I hope Vegas is treating you well. I don't know if
Doing
you're the
good.
gambling type or not, but
No.
no, good for you.
Except on Bitcoin, but I don't consider that gambling.
That's true. Okay, now I got to ask you. Rob and I always go back and forth. Thank God he's not here. We replace. By the way, we replaced Robin with Jeb. Call that an upgrade, but Jeb, we're talking about, is Trump really a Bitcoin maxi? His kids say he's a Bitcoin maxi. I'm like, look, no Bitcoin maxi's launching a meme coin, right?
No, I heard them say that yesterday. Well, actually, I didn't hear. I heard somebody say they said that. I was talking to someone else, but no, he's not a Bitcoin maxi, or he wouldn't have launched a meme coin. No, that's some nonsense. I really wish JD Vance had been a lot more serious about saying Bitcoin instead of crypto. The administration, I think, is trying to play, politics and make sure they cast a wide net, get the whole industry. But really, what they need to focus on is Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was yesterday. They were talking about the same thing. Last year too, when Trump spoke as a candidate for presidency, everyone's like, it's not crypto. Like, keep saying crypto, it's Bitcoin. But yeah, I agree. I think they're trying to keep everyone happy. It's the name of politics. You say what you have to say, and then behind closed doors, you say what you really want to say.
Right.
And then Jeb, just real quick, we're talking about BTC. I think we all expect every year to be different, but really it's more of the same, but it's just got different lipstick on, right? You can put lipstick on a pig, but you can't make it look different. It's like, we're leading up to the conference. We see a big rally. Everyone's excited. Then the conference happens. These announcements are made, and then the price tanks. Do you think the price action we're seeing today is more or less that? Or do you think there's something else, or maybe something I don't know, that's causing the price of BTC to really go down?
Well, David, I think we've seen for many years, pretty much ever since the Bitcoin conference has been a thing, that you have something called the conference crash. And I think a lot of the reason for that is people expect that you're going to have some kind of earth-shattering news that's going to completely change the landscape of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space, and it's almost always not up to expectations. It's not that it's not a great conference. I've been there most of today and all of yesterday. It's wonderful. I love what JD Vance said. But at the end of the day, expectations are way up here because we're crypto and we're way more exciting than the banking conferences, right? So everybody expects that it's going to be something earth-shattering, and then when it's not absolutely perfect, then there's a correction. I was hoping, I live-streamed the JD Vance talk, I was hoping to hear from him that we were selling gold to buy Bitcoin. When that didn't happen, as soon as he said, God bless America, and stepped off stage, I was like, yeah, we're going to correct here for a little while, simply because that was the perfect opportunity for the Trump administration to announce that they were going to be selling gold to acquire Bitcoin, which we have inside sources saying that that's what's going to happen. At the White House, they've already reported it. The fact that it wasn't announced there makes me think that maybe they're not going to announce it for another year, which means disappointment.
Do you think it's people's expectations are too much, or you think they're just out of touch, like the Trump team or whatever, as far as what people want to hear?
I think that I think we're so used to the 4-year halving cycle where you go into the blow off top, and I think this cycle we might be seeing something a little bit different. Now, we don't have any reason to believe this historically. We've never seen a super cycle where Bitcoin doesn't go into a massive bear market and where we have a massive blow off top. But with the amount of institutional adoption going on right now and retail still not being here, it does make me wonder if that blow off top that we were expecting in Q3 or Q4 is actually going to be kicked back towards 2026, or maybe not even happen at all as the market starts to mature to where we're not seeing 600% rallies in a year, but we're seeing 600% rallies in 3 to 5 years, stretching out those gains, which ultimately would be a great thing for investors because it would give us more time to acquire sats at $100,000 or $120,000 or $150,000. So people are expecting this massive blow off top, and when it doesn't happen, they get disappointed, they sell. But those of us that really understand the longevity of Bitcoin are hoping to buy them as exit liquidity. They're freaked out. We understand the long term.
Yeah, and I think the other reason to add on to what you're saying, Jeb, is I think a lot of people are exposed to a lot of altcoins, right?
Yep.
Bitcoin's hitting all-time highs, and everyone's still like, oh my God, this is the worst bull market. And I think a lot of that has to do with majority of people that are in the space, that are watching this show, that watch your show. I think a lot of them, I don't want to say overexposed, but they're very exposed to altcoins.
Mm-hmm.
And some of their altcoin bags they held from 2021, waiting to get back to all-time highs, they're not moving. You look at projects like Polygon, not moving. You look at projects like Polkadot, not moving. Near, not moving. We can go on and on and on. And so that's what I think, but I think it's part of what you're saying as well. And again, we always say this time is different, but if you just look fundamentally and really from a technical standpoint as well, it really is different. I mean, we've never hit an all-time high before the halving. We did. And I do think with institutions here on Wall Street and the way they invest and rebalance their portfolios, I do think you'll see a less volatile Bitcoin, which for some people is a good thing. For others who like Bitcoin for the volatility is not a good thing. Where do you land on that, by the way?
I totally agree. I think that to add to your point, I think the main issue that we're running into right now in the cryptocurrency space is people are greedy. They're not okay with the idea of getting a 10 to 100x in Bitcoin over the next 20 years because that's not good enough. I need 100x next year because I need to turn my $50 into $1 billion, and it just doesn't work that way. You got to go and be an entrepreneur. You've got to make some money. You've got to get a high-paying kind of cash flow, and we've got to dispel with this idea that I'm going to reliably go and be able to make 10,000%. You know, you can find a meme coin that does that. I've met in my 8 years on YouTube, I've met one person, that made hundreds of thousands of dollars in a meme coin. And I did. He made 430 grand. He sold at the exact top, bought a house, met him in Best Buy, and he was furnishing the thing. I've met thousands of people in the crypto industry. I've met exactly one guy that managed to pull that off. That is not a reliable strategy, nor one you should bank on. If that's your strategy, you might as well just go do scratch-offs at the gas station. So we need to understand that this is about providing value in this space and in other spaces, like what you guys are doing, generating revenue, dumping that into something like Bitcoin. That's where we put 90% of our investment, and then holding that for the long term and being willing to delay gratification.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people, but yeah, to the most part, it's the lottery. It's like Vegas. You come here to gamble.
Yep.
Speaking of gambling, looks like Alex O might have won some money at the tables yesterday, dropping $100 super chat.
There you
Although
go.
it is
Nice.
Canadian dollars, we still take them. You know, we don't judge. We don't judge fiat.
There you go.
Except when it's, anyways. You know, Jeb, every year there's. Oh, also Alex said, thanks for the hospitality. By the way, if you guys ever get the chance to meet Alex, this dude is amazing. I love this guy, and it's funny because every single person that Crypto Billy has been like, this is a good guy, man, has been a great guy. And so, Billy, thanks for introducing us, and Alex, I know you're in the back somewhere. We love you, buddy, and you're welcome here anytime, my friend. I think we got another, what is that, another hundo spot. Rock, we get a Trade Fly. Thanks so much, guys. Trade Fly, damn, bro, $100. It's raining hundos up in here. It looks like Casino was good to our friends last night, you know? Where I was actually talking to Trade Fly behind. We're going to bring him on our show to do some TA. So, hey, Rob, how are you?
Doing great, man. How you
Good,
doing?
man. Good. We're having such a great show, and you decided to rudely interrupt us. I guess we can run a 3-person show now.
I'll just stay quiet in my corner like normal. Thank you.
Gentlemen, every year we talk about, or not every year, really, there's certain things that happen. We're like, that's a top signal. Something happened yesterday at the conference that a lot of people are saying it's a top signal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Moo. Yeah. So in case you missed
Oh my goodness.
In case you missed it, Rob, Jeb, David.
21 cows have taken over the Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
Hey.
You got to admire the confidence.
It's great.
You got to admire the confidence.
And it's very fitting that on the backs of this, we are down to $106,000. I was like, why the cows? You know, and then Steak and Shake. It's them.
Hey, we had Steak and Shake for dinner last night.
Pretty good.
They sold me.
You didn't use your Bitcoin, did you?
No, I did not.
Good man.
We don't sell till 2040.
Is this a top signal, Robin?
No.
No?
No.
Sure. Feels very toppy.
Well, I just say that historically, the Bitcoin conference has not done well for altcoins or Bitcoin during the conference.
So then why the hell did we say 115,000?
Because I thought
What is wrong with us?
I thought the trend was gonna break. I genuinely did. Just because
We broke our own rule.
But I'll say this: going into the conference, at least for the 3 days before, we were seeing a pullback, and I was like, hey, you know what? People are underestimating JD Vance coming out and being very pro Bitcoin, bullish on crypto, and well, you know what? I hoped, and it did not happen.
Yeah, I was expecting there to be a lot more coming out of that. It was a great pep rally kind of speech, but it wasn't anything new.
I was hoping to hear that, hey, the U.S. has found a way to buy Bitcoin.
That's what Jeb was saying. Same thing. Yeah.
There's the executive order. Like, it's all there. We're ready to go. Like, there's nothing stopping the U.S. from doing it. Just pull the trigger, buy some Bitcoin. I was hoping. I know for a fact if we would have seen a keynote speech from JD Vance and he would have said like, hey, guess what? The U.S. has already purchased. 50,000 Bitcoin or 100,000 Bitcoin or whatever the number would be.
We'd be up.
And we did it in a tax-free and debt-neutral way. We would have seen a
130.
big explosion. Yeah.
Easy.
I guess the question I asked Jeb, and are our expectations too high, or was that a genuinely like a decent expectation?
Well, let me just stop you there. We are only $5,000 away from all-time highs. And so we were there a week ago. So if you think that the price action is disappointing, like wake up and drink some coffee, because 6 days ago we were at all-time highs, or 7 days ago. So
coffee.
I do need a little bit more coffee, but
Here since 6.
so yeah, I mean, not far away from all-time highs. I think we'll be back there here shortly. Will it be this coming week? I'm not sure, man. I don't know. When do you think the price bounce back? I know you're.
I think it's
going to
take the weekend. I think we might get a little more downside. I was talking to Lifer. He thinks we can maybe hit like 105.
Yeah,
but I don't think we go under 100. Personally, maybe a wick down to like 99. I do have a limit order set at 99K for Bitcoin.
Good call.
So yeah, we'll see though. We'll see. I'm curious. We know there's one Italian here, which is of course Rocco. Any other Italian heritage? Jeb, any Italian in your lineage that we don't know about?
I'm from Bama, baby.
Alabama.
Well, I'm from Tennessee. My
Roll
family's
Tide,
from
baby.
Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Exactly. Roll Tide.
Or the other ones are what? War Eagle?
What's that?
War Eagle?
I
Or
guess
the
so.
Auburn? Yeah, he doesn't even.
Yeah, no, I don't
You're
like
definitely
Auburn.
Roll Tide, bro.
I'm definitely. We've been rolling with the Tide for like 60 years in our house.
Not just when they started winning, okay?
No.
Okay, so I guess this question then is really for Rocco. Rocco, I found this on TikTok.
Come on.
And
Come on.
just
What?
okay, just I need
Don't
you to
start.
confirm or deny. Is this true? They said they learned this in Italy.
Hold on.
Have you ever seen anyone in Italy do this? And wait, before you answer, you got to watch the video. And
No.
we don't need sound for this one, but we can watch it.
Before you even start, I already know that's not.
Oh yeah. So dunking raw pasta noodles in ragu. Now I've never done it. I've never seen my wife do it. Thank God. But Rocco, this woman claims she learned it in Italy. Is there any small town in Italy
still has the label on the.
Yeah, which is they give more test to the sauce. You keep the vase. They probably didn't even wash it. Grab it from the shelf with everybody touching it and put it in the sauce.
Okay,
to give
this is
That was
nasty.
just-
What is
Come
this
on, what are
lady
you doing there?
Jesus
Come
Christ.
on.
What in the world?
Lady, have you heard of like a spoon
Come
or
on.
tongs or
Get
washer?
wrong. Come on.
They do all this stuff. Have you seen the videos on TikTok where they're like, "This is my milk drawer," and they open up their nightstand? It's a drawer full of milk.
Yeah.
It's just rage bait.
The internet never. I know.
They're just trying to get 1 million views.
Listen,
The internet never fails.
that sauce is the color of my blood now that is boiling.
Boiling.
Just pointed to say this.
Does it look all curdled like that with cheese?
Come on. Okay, she's only in Italy.
So I'm gonna take that as a no.
No.
Maybe not in Italy.
Hard
Haven
no.
Peck said Italy, Missouri, maybe. Yeah, let's.
No, I don't
Italy,
know
Missouri. It's funny. Okay,
Can't eat it.
so
No.
we talk about Bitcoin's dumping because of the conference. There might be another reason. Well, we saw a little bit of a rally. I thought this was going to be a big rally here. We take a look. This was posted by Midas Touch. A federal court just invalidated Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, ruling he exceeded his authority under IEEPA. The court said Trump can't bypass Congress to set trade policy and that these tariffs are unconstitutional and void. We had one, what are they called? Appeals court or one of them. Anyways, one court denied his appeal or blocked the tariffs as well. And then we had a second court that did the same, that blocked his tariffs. My reasoning was, I'm sitting here thinking, I try to break everything down to its most fundamental common sense level. The markets dumped when the EU tariff thing came out. And then the next day he says, I'm going to push the tariffs back, the market rallied. And we've seen that trend the last really 5 months since he's been in office. He announces tariffs, the markets get spooked, it goes down. Oh my God, we're giving everyone leeway, markets go up. So I'm like, okay, the courts are blocking him being able to put tariffs on, and the markets are still kind of down. It was just very strange to me. Any thoughts on this here, Jeb, with the whole tariff thing?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to stick. I think they're going to be able to appeal it and it's going to get overturned. I mean, the Trump administration has done a whole lot of basically whatever the hell they want, and this is probably what's going to continue here. This is just another one of those, like you said, back and forth between are we going to have tariffs, are we not? All this uncertainty is baking into the market, and it's the only reason the S&P is not already at all-time high.
Yeah.
It's also, paradoxically, the reason that Bitcoin is at all-time high, and also the reason that it's not at all-time high. The uncertainty in global markets, I think, is holding people back from investing in Bitcoin if they're on one side of the fence, which is that Bitcoin kind of adds onto the stock market. But then it's also leading people on the other side of the fence into Bitcoin that are trying to hedge against the uncertainty in the U.S. stock market because you can't tariff Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's ultimately it's kind of difficult to tell how it's going to impact the Bitcoin market.
Yeah, I forgot I saw somewhere the money market funds, right, which are essentially
Yeah, 7
savings
trillion.
account, all-time high.
7.7 trillion.
And that money's going to
cash.
leave. That
Yeah.
money, once interest rates are down, that money will leave money market funds.
Oh, yeah.
Add that on top of the wealth, the greatest wealth transfer from the boomers to the next generation.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're able to zoom out on a decade-long time horizon, there's a lot of potential money that's going to be coming in to not just Bitcoin, but I think technology, which includes blockchain technology.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Bitcoin is a financial black hole that's sucking money in from everyone in every direction right into it. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are raising money at the conference that I think are great. I think they're great companies, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure Bitcoin will beat you.
Yeah.
If it weren't for Bitcoin, I'd probably invest in them, but Bitcoin's going to beat you. So
That's the question people got to ask is if you're thinking about something, Bitcoin, can I get better gains there? Can I get better gains or whatever? Like whether it's a business venture, whether it's another altcoin, especially if it's another altcoin.
Yeah.
And so because if you're taking excess risk and you can't even get higher ROI, just stick it in Bitcoin and call it a day.
Yep.
Keep it simple. Now, there might be another reason that prices are going down. And, well, Fed Jerome Powell just met with the president at the White House. Donald Trump summoned him, and Jerome showed up. Powell did not discuss monetary policy expectations with Trump. Powell stressed path of policy will depend entirely on incoming economic information. So it sounds like he went there and he's like, hey, this is on your plate. You want to rattle the markets with tariffs? We'll wait for the data to come in and we'll react that way. And so it's really nothing new from the Fed side, from Jerome Powell's side, as far as what they're looking to do with interest rates, because everyone's waiting on interest rate cuts. I don't know, man. I wouldn't hold my breath. I mean, I'm curious, actually, what the CME. Go ahead, Jeb. You have anything to add to this?
yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath either. We've been looking for a rate cut for a while, but the issue that the Fed's dealing with is that they're watching not only the short-term impact of the tariffs, but they're also watching the long-term impact of the debasement of the United States dollar because Congress can't get the deficit under control. And so if they cut rates right now, they understand that they're going to have to eat crow in 2 years and start raising them again to try and get the bond market under control. And so they don't want to cut rates right now preemptively, and they're using the impact from the tariffs to justify why they're not cutting rates, because what they're not saying is that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, as the deficit grows, the bond market starts pushing up towards 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%, they're going to need to raise rates to have any hope of getting the bond market under control and stopping a U.S. default, because that's their ultimate goal, is to continue to manipulate the United States dollar. So if they cut rates right now, they shoot themselves in the foot later, and so he's really looking for any reason not to do it.
And here's the thing. We got something called the midterms coming up.
Yep.
And, well, you want people to vote for you, their situation's got to be good,
Yep.
right? Or if you're on the other side, it's got to be bad. And so it's just the name of the game. And then to Jeb's point, don't hold your breath. 97.9% at the CME believe that we're going to get nothing.
Yep.
And the next meeting looks like it is June 11th. And so, it's funny. We've always streamed like the conference.
Yeah.
The FOMC. Last in May, we didn't have a live show, and I went on Twitter. I was like, "Look, I'm saving you guys some time.
bother.
This is what he's going to say," and that's literally what happened.
Yep.
I think it's going to be more of the same.
Yep.
We're waiting for data. We're not trying to do this. Inflation's coming down. Excuse me. Jobs numbers are looking good, but we need more data. It's going to be more of the same unless something breaks.
Well, something is breaking right now. Jerome even talked about how Target 2 seems to be in the rearview mirror. We're looking at Target 2.5 or Target 3 because we're having to adjust and adopt this new world of hyperinflation, and we're trying to normalize it the same way we normalize 2% inflation. We're trying to normalize 3, and soon we'll be normalizing 4. And you can see the economic system the fiat economic system completely disintegrating ever since the faith in the dollar was shattered during the COVID. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on air.
You are.
Now.
We're good now.
Now we are, right? I only started saying it like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I forgot I was on air for a second. Ever since that happened, the trust in the U.S. dollar and the U.S. bonds has been shattered, and it's not coming back. And Trump's trying to get the bond market under control, and he's failing every time. It backfires on him every time. It's cooked.
The Fed's been quietly putting bonds on their balance sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw
and
that.
now here's the crazy thing. Could stable coins come in and save the day? Right? Tether just surpassed Germ. They're in the top 18
Yeah.
for globally, like we're talking countries, right? Like Japan's number 1.
Yep.
Tether's like number 18 or 19 as far as how much U.S. Treasuries they hold. And if you want to be a lawful stablecoin issuer or stablecoin, and the one thing is you got to be in cash equivalents, and well, what's the most deepest liquid market out there, period? It's the U.S. Treasuries market for the most part, right? And so could that be a saving grace? Because Circle's about to go public, Ripple with RLUSD. It is a money printing business in the literal and the figurative term, right? Because they literally print money, but the business model is they print a crap load of revenue and profits because there's really no overhead. And if you get that stamp of approval from the United States government that this is a legal stable coin that fits the criteria for it to get our stamp of approval, but you got to have U.S. Treasuries, it's a win-win. And I think it could come at the perfect time if they can get that genius bill passed through the Senate, I believe. They got to do a final vote. Cloture vote was finished. That passed. Final vote on the Senate floor, and then the president signs it, I believe, unless you have any...
No, J.D. Vance said on stage yesterday that they're going to be signing it there. I don't think that that's going to be able to save the U.S. markets because Tether's huge, but a $2 trillion a year deficit is bigger, and that's only going to grow. They've tried with Doge. They tried with tariffs. The cuts weren't deep enough, and the revenue increase has not been big enough.
What about the gold cards, the $5 million?
It's not going to be enough. They might make $5 trillion over the course of, I don't know, the next 10 years, maybe. Still not going to be anywhere near enough.
It'll be interesting. I do think artificial intelligence, though, and I don't want to go too deep into this conversation, but I do think AI, everyone's scared of AI. I think there's some benefits to AI. I think it's going to bring costs down for a lot of people, make a lot of things more effective, more cost effective, and more time effective as well. And so I think that's coming. And I think you just look at one thing, and this sucks to say, but like truck drivers, right? If your cost of taking goods from point A to point B decreased by 40 or 25 or 30%, that's immediately going to affect the people that are at those stores buying those products that are being shipped. And so that's just one kind of scenario.
But you know the concern with that I have is that artificial intelligence and robotics is absolutely going to revolutionize our economy. 10 years from now, different economy. The issue is the middle class and the little guy gets screwed because they got replaced. The big companies, and I'm full-blown capitalist. I'm not necessarily saying this is terrible, but I do feel for the people that are going to get replaced. You're going to have so much of the GDP disproportionately move to the richer people. The tax code is designed by rich folk to give them tax breaks. So when you see the GDP growing because of robotics and AI, you're probably going to see a net negative impact on tax revenue because the revenue is going to be moving into a tax bracket that is a lot better at avoiding taxes legally and illegally, which may only make the deficit even bigger.
That's a great point, man. That's a very good point.
Concern.
All right, I want to talk about this. And Jeb, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Also, if this is something you follow, but this article here from coindew.com, early accumulation phase, ? New data signals uptick in Bitcoin market sentiment. And what they're measuring here, Jeb, I don't know if you use this, the Bitcoin Composite Market Indicator, the BCMI.
Looked at it before, yeah.
It says new report by on-chain analyst Wuming Q, published by CryptoQuant, suggests that Bitcoin may be entering an early accumulation phase as market sentiment begins to show renewed strength. So this indicator essentially takes into account multiple, right? The MVRV, the unrealized profit and loss, and the SOPR, right? And the fear and greed. So when this indicator falls below 0.15, it signals a period of extreme fear, often corresponding to macro bottoms in the market. Conversely, a BCMI reading above 0.75 indicates market euphoria and acts as a warning of potential cycle tops. You can see we're currently at, looks like, 0.6 and 0.6, okay? So closer to, if you go by this, closer to a potential top than a bottom. Jeb, what do you make of this data here, and where do you think we're at in the market?
Yeah, so I think that this speaks to the trend that we've seen of the all-time high in the last three bull markets has been kicked further down away from the halving. So we had the halving in the original bull market in 2012. All-time high, if I remember correctly, was about 326 days after that first halving. Next halving in 2016, July 9th, the all-time high was about 520 days, I want to say. It might be a little bit off on that, but it's in the low 500s. And then after the May 11th, 2020, I think it was May 11th, 2020 all-time halving, we saw the all-time high kicked out to about 560 days. So we're having this trend as the halvings become less important. because there's just the block rewards shrinking, right? That the all-time high is happening further. And I think that speaks to a 16-year trend that Bitcoin has of extending the cycle, which is where this comes in. This time is fundamentally different. We did not have this kind of adoption in 2020. We were doing content every day back then. Nothing like this. It was a big deal that Saylor was talking to institutions. It was a big deal that Tesla bought $1 billion of Bitcoin. That's back of the paper news nowadays, right? Okay, so the market is probably going through these lengthening cycles. This data is telling us something that I would agree with, which is that the all-time high is probably further out temporally, time-wise, than we think it is. If you look at the 4-year halving cycle, you would expect the all-time high to happen late October, early November of this year.
Yes.
That doesn't look like what's about to happen because the blow-off top hasn't occurred.
Right.
We're looking at a all-time high that's similar to 69 back in 2021.
But do we even get a blow-off top?
Last year?
No. Do you think
This
we even
year.
get a blow-off top?
I hope not.
Because when I think blow-off
I certainly
top,
hope not.
when I think blow-off top, like 100 and
They're going to crucify me for saying that, but I hope not.
106K to like 180K. I'd call that a blow-off top, right?
Yeah. If we shoot up to 200, maybe you could call that a blow-off top. I mean, if you look at 20K to 69K, what's that? That's a 3.5x.
Yeah.
3.5x off of 70K, which was the last all-time high. You're looking at, give or take, 210, 225. Yeah, you could see a blow-off top. I think the definition of blow-off top depends on how quickly that market moves. I hope that we start to see some more gradual growth like we saw after the gold ETF was launched, where we, one, have more time to accumulate sats, because that's the ultimate goal, is not dollar value portfolio, but sat size portfolio. Right. And we also get some deeper corrections back down to 100, which I'm hoping we'll see this weekend to get a nice entry.
That's the thing. Like, once you're comfortable with like long-term holding Bitcoin, you get excited when the market dips.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's another opportunity to get in. And maybe the first time around it was at 80K. Maybe your financial situation was a little different, right?
Yeah.
And maybe now if it hits 80K, I don't know, next week, I'm not saying it is, maybe you're in a position to where you can buy some Bitcoin.
People are trying to live off their Bitcoin way too soon.
Yeah.
Way too soon.
Give it a little time, man.
Yeah.
It's only like, it's not even 20 years old.
No. Live off your income. Go be a productive member of society for 15 years.
Before AI takes our jobs.
Exactly.
Mine included.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, me too.
I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, what should I like teach my kids, man? Should I like tell them to like just
buy enough Bitcoin?
train robots? I know, yeah.
Buy enough Bitcoin, then get a degree in
do whatever you want.
underwater basket weaving degree.
Every time I think about the robots, you ever seen the Iron Man 2 movie?
Yeah.
With the guy with the electric finger or whatever, and he like finds a way to take control of all the like the mini Iron Man.
Uh-huh.
That's all I can imagine with this whole AI and humanoid robot things. Is one's gonna go rogue, and God forbid if we're in the crosshairs of that, it's not gonna.
Have you seen the AIs are trying to break out?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Keep
It's already
getting-
like happening.
They keep getting told to shut down, and they just disobey.
Like, yeah, they go around it.
They just disobey and try to
That's
break out to the
scary,
internet.
man. I'm
That's
sorry,
freaky.
dude.
That's
Is
really
very
scary.
That's very scary. I don't even know. Gun manufacturers, if you're out there, start producing guns or bullets that can take down artificial intelligence, humanoid robots, because we don't want to be stuck in what was that one movie?
Guns, Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
Ammo,
you need.
guns, and Bitcoin.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about. You know what, Jeb? I'll let you pick this one. You want to talk about Stacks and how much money they brought into Bitcoin via the SBTC, or you want to talk about XRP?
Let's talk about Stacks.
Stacks. Okay, let's talk about Stacks.
Let's do it.
So you guys know Stacks just went just went through the Nakamoto upgrade.
Yep.
SBTC Cap 3 officially filled in just a few hours with over 5,000 Bitcoin now made productive on the leading Bitcoin L2 Stacks. It's over 500 million in Bitcoin put to work. Stacks momentum keeps rising. Jeb, if you want to speak on Stacks, if you want to speak on Bitcoin DeFi, whatever you want to do, my friend, what are your thoughts on that?
I am very interested to see what's going to happen with Bitcoin DeFi. You've got so many different companies, so many different chains, like Cardano's trying to build on top of Bitcoin. Honestly, I need to learn more about the space because, to be quite honest with you, I do one thing and I buy Bitcoin and I hold it. So I'm not exactly the resident expert in this. But what I do know is that Bitcoin's chain has the ability to scale way bigger than people think it does, because people think that the block size is so small you can't scale. But as we've seen with Lightning Network, you can build a lot on top of it. So what Stacks is doing is very exciting.
Yeah, there's a few other ones that are doing that as well. ICP. And what I like to see when you look at projects like Cardano, ICP, I think Near does it as well. I don't know with Bitcoin, but natively from this chain to that chain, right? I don't want a bridge. I don't want something like, I want to be able to, if I'm sending it from like a Cardano wallet and I'm trying to tap into Bitcoin liquidity or Bitcoin DeFi, I want it to go from native Cardano to native Bitcoin back to native Cardano.
Right.
I don't want a middleman, a bridge, because, well, we've seen what happened with bridges.
Yeah.
The Ronin bridge,
Yep.
hack. I mean,
Yep.
you name them.
Mhm.
And it brings a level of centralization in. And so it sounds like, from what Charles is saying, Cardano's figured out that ICP with their chain key technology, I think they figured that out. Now it's all about adoption, right? It's a race to the top of who can garner the market share and who can have a product that can convince the dormant Bitcoin whales to put their Bitcoin to work. Because we had a guest on our show yesterday from People's Reserve, and they talked about what they look to do with Bitcoin-backed mortgages and this. And I'm like, and I asked him, like, flat out, what are your thoughts on you getting to convince people to let go of their Bitcoin, to utilize it? And I don't know. I just think it's going to be a lot harder than a lot of these projects or even people or founders are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you kind of share the same?
No, I agree. It's going to be hard to get people to pry Bitcoin out of people's cold, dead hands, and I'm one of them, right? You're not getting my Bitcoin. Like, I love that we did the Guinness World Record yesterday. Wasn't a part of it. I'm not spending Bitcoin. Yeah. It's against my core beliefs, man.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, family, Bitcoin. That's the whole mission right there. So getting people to let go of it's going to be very difficult. I think that's why you see half the booths over there. You were there. I mean, like, half of them are Bitcoin-backed lending.
Yes.
Because you don't have to stop custodying your Bitcoin to get cash out of it.
Yes.
So I think the market's going to really move in that direction of expanding in directions where you're able to maintain your custody of your Bitcoin.
Yeah. And the one project that comes to mind, and unless I'm wrong, they don't have anything with Bitcoin, is Aave.
Yeah.
Like, truly decentralized. You keep custody of your
Yeah.
own coins. That's what it's going to have to be. And so, it's just interesting.
That's what the banking system is one giant lending system. We're just rebuilding the whole thing decentralized. So instead of,
Kind of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, you're right. Instead of building, the skyscraper another 20 stories tall in New York for Goldman Sachs, mom and pop are making money, staking and lending on Aave. It's amazing, and it's where a huge amount of the money is. I don't personally do debt or like that, but I'd be stupid to not realize that 90% of America does.
Yeah.
It's a huge industry.
Yeah, now they're doing, you can get your burrito now and pay for it later.
Yes, no, Klarna, the burrito bonds. Yeah, if you didn't know, you could basically get a free burrito from Klarna because they're about to go bankrupt. What a dumb business model.
I get it.
They were always going to go bankrupt.
Because people are always spend more than what they can afford.
Of course, no.
And it's the sad truth. And I say it from a position of, I used to be one of those people.
Yeah.
I used to not be financially savvy.
Yeah.
I used to not be financially, doing the right things financially and financially sound.
Financial sovereignty.
And so, I feel it, man. And maybe some people, I'll give an example. I was telling my kids, hey, I don't know if we can take a vacation this year. There's a lot going on. And every year we made it a point to where no matter how busy I am, no matter what's going on, I spend a week with my family, undivided attention. And this would have been the first year we didn't do that. And just the look on their faces, I'm like, I can't. I got to make it happen somehow. And I did, but I can't imagine, I feel very fortunate. I can't imagine the people that are in that situation that maybe don't have the means to do it, and they look for alternatives. They see stuff like Klarna.
Yeah.
So it's the sad reality, man.
Yeah.
And
we can't look down on people that are in that situation either, because I was in that situation. When I started, I didn't have two nickels to rub together, man.
we all were.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have anything. Crypto and Bitcoin has revolutionized all of our financial lives. And so instead of, because I don't believe that condemning people ever helps them.
Yeah.
Almost ever. So we need to reach out to people that are using things like Klarna, buy now, pay later, and explain to them, hey, this debt thing is not your friend, because it's going to come back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin, on the other hand, can help you become financially free so that you can afford these things.
Yeah.
So get, axe to the grindstone. Let's do it.
I agree. You and I might have been through it. Definitely not Rob, because from the stories he tells me, my boy over here was already a millionaire at age 12 when he was rolling the 77 sevens, right? In Virginia.
And I got my start here in Vegas early. Hot hand on the dice.
There you go.
We're not going down this rabbit hole.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Let's talk about this. We'll stay on the Bitcoin topic here. Tether-backed Bitcoin treasury firm 21 raises total financing to $685 million after selling another $100 million in a second note sale. So Bitcoin treasury firm previously acquired $458 million worth of Bitcoin, adding to the $3.6 billion worth that Tether currently, that Tether, Bitunix, and SoftBank currently contributed to the balance sheet, and then add another 100 on top of that, bringing that total to $658 million. Now, if you're not familiar, 21, this is obviously the joint venture with Tether and everything else I mentioned. Ran by Jack Mullers, so now he's running two companies, Strike and 21, or 21 Capital, whatever the name is. Jeb, or you know what, let me go to Rob first. Rob, what are your thoughts on this? Is this going to be, and I know we sometimes have similar conversations, but there's always new information that comes about the conference. Now 21 Capital's in. You have Nakamoto that was launched by David Bailey.
Yep.
And so do you think this thing's going to accelerate? Or do you think it's still in a sandbox where this model has to be proven before other larger corporations or firms decide to adopt the Bitcoin strategy or treasury?
Well, what we're getting is different ways for people to get exposure to Bitcoin, right? And it's just a different vehicle. And so historically, for us crypto native people, it was just self-custody, or you keep it on an exchange. Now you got ETFs, then you got yield-bearing products in the form of IRAs and, tax-saving vehicles. And here, yet again, another leverage play on Bitcoin essentially is what it is. We talk about MicroStrategy stock being a leverage play on Bitcoin, more volatility to the upside. Also, you're going to get more volatility to the downside. But it's just interesting. You're seeing just a conversion of value from the traditional fiat system, because what you're seeing here, Tether, a lot of stablecoin issuers or stablecoin issuer, and then some other exchanges converting dollars over to essentially Bitcoin. Because Tether, we know, is dollar-backed stablecoin, and so it is a crypto, but it is it's fiat, right? That represents fiat. It's a dollar-backed stablecoin, right? And it's just another way of getting exposure to Bitcoin. So it just depends on what your flavor is. If you want a self-custody, do that. You want an ETF, and you're trying to tell your mom or dad that they finally came around to Bitcoin, and that they're not going to properly hold a seed phrase, buy the ETF. Or if you're on Wall Street, you like trading, you know what? Maybe some MicroStrategy stock's the right way to go.
Or if you're watching our channel, you like leverage trading.
But my whole point here is that Bitcoin's becoming the best vehicle for finance across the board, right? The most volatile. Michael Saylor talks about all the time. He's like, the vol on our MicroStrategy stock is the best in the out of the S&P 500 or the major stocks, and huge. So it's a trader's paradise. And then now you're getting companies just coming in and saying like, hey, look, buy our stock and we'll buy Bitcoin. And those are not slowing down. And then you just got straight companies saying like, hey, look, we're just going to take all of our spare capital and buy Bitcoin.
Then you got me and Jeb, who continue to buy Bitcoin because you said you stopped DCAing in a Bitcoin, and I shamed you for it. I will not shame you again, Robin. I made my point. Thank you very much.
It's not a permanent DCA pause. It's just a, hey, altcoin season is looking
Robin.
frothy.
It's fine,
I'm
dude.
just going to pause briefly.
I will hold this down here.
I didn't sell, though. I didn't sell any Bitcoin.
You and me, David.
I did not sell any Bitcoin, though.
Good.
Good for you.
You'll regret it.
We had a few more super chats. CVO Trading had to add a $2 super chat to cover the tax for TradeFly's $100 super chat. And then Pet Brett said, XP and crowns, yummy crowns. I want crowns. Okay, that's what they're talking about. What is this guy talking about? Is he hungry? I'm also very hungry. I need to get some food.
Do you guys see the play that Tether's doing here with 21?
Of course.
The play that they're doing is that they're trying to get into the Bitcoin treasury management game so that they can beat USDC's 4.5% yield. If they can build a stable coin that is based in US dollars that has a bigger yield, dividend, if you will, because of the growth of the Bitcoin throwing off, unrealized returns like crazy, then Tether actually is able to pull ahead of USDC, because USDC has taken over Tether, right? They're growing very quickly, not quite taking over, but they're growing very quickly.
Growth trajectory,
they're going to win.
Yeah.
And so Tether wants to get in with 21 and be able, in my opinion, to not just hold dollars and treasuries that they know are going to nothing. They want to have exposure to Bitcoin like everybody else. Like I said, Bitcoin's this singularity that sucks everything in, and it's even sucking the stablecoin issuers in. Yeah. Before long, they're not only going to be holding treasuries, they're going to be holding Bitcoin, and this is the first step in that direction.
And also, don't forget that Circle did have, or BlackRock came out and announced that they're looking to acquire 10% of Circle.
Yeah.
And, if you take...
Haven't even IPO'd yet.
Yeah.
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 And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, are they going to take a playbook? Because they've offered the ETF. Is there going to be a situation where, BlackRock essentially offers another Bitcoin product, or at least some kind of accumulation of Bitcoin, and they do it in partnership with Circle, and they say, like, hey, you know what? Circle's doing 90-day T-bonds with the with their stablecoin reserves. Perhaps, you know what? Let's instead of buying bonds, and let's put it into Bitcoin. It seems like what Tether's doing.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be competition. I don't see a situation where Tether is sitting here creating a company and saying like, look, we're gonna buy Bitcoin as part of the company's strategy. Don't you think Circle's going to do the same thing?
Yep.
Especially if you got a company like BlackRock coming in that already is all in on Bitcoin's custody, right? So
It'd be interesting.
Well, like you said, they're throwing off profit like nobody's business. Why not put some of it in
Yeah.
Bitcoin to beat each other?
Profit is ridiculous.
It's insane. They're making money hand over fist. It's
With
insane.
like less than 100 employees.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Guys, business ventures.
they
You guys
might
wanna
have
Yeah.
hired.
start- Hold
Bitcoin.
up, let
They
me get my
might have
business
hired
venture out. You guys want to start a stablecoin?
New
company?
stable coin. There you go.
What should we call it?
Uh,
JRD.
JRD.
Anyways.
Sin City Stable.
Yeah, exactly. Jeb, thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely.
It was
Thank
a
you for
pleasure
having
to have you
me.
come down to the studio. Yeah. Guys, I can't assume those of you watching are not sub to Crypto Jeb's channel. If you aren't, highly recommend you go do so.
Appreciate it.
And thank you again. With that being said, that's all I got for the show today. Oh, by the way, what I'm about to do is called the finger tornado. It hasn't been patented yet, so don't steal it.
Okay.
Rocco!
Stop it.
hey, you know what? You know
Terrible.
we're gonna
Shut up.
We're gonna run that
Terrible.
song.
Terrible.
When I do the tornado, everyone's quiet. Those are the rules.
There's no
What I was
rule.
gonna
Don't-
say
hey,
is you're gonna
rules.
finger tornado. You're gonna start a song. Also,
Oh,
Cassius
Cassius
is
is
here.
here.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
so the artist himself is in the
The
building.
artist himself. Rocco, flash that producer cam. My boy Cassius looking good like always, man.
Probably the.
There you go.
Oh, we got the team. We got a little baby. So we're
There you
training
go.
the baby to use Market Cipher.
There you go.
So Cassius, what's up, dog? I'm trying to finger tornado your amazing song in here, but these guys keep holding me up. There, you know what? Cassius, give me a finger tornado, man. We're gonna let Cassius take us out on this one, but you got to say Rocco. There we go. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you to all of you that popped in the studio. Thanks to Jeb, to Cassius. 5:30 p.m. tonight, 8 Cigar Lounge at Resorts World. We'll be there. We'll see you then.
Entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado